Hey everyone, it is Celeste and I am here to film my end of year book tag for the year 2025. This year has gone by so quickly. It seems like just yesterday we were starting off 2025 and here we are. And for me, it is New Year's Eve. So yes, I waited until the last minute, but I also wanted a chance to make sure that all of the contenders for all of the books that I've read could be considered for this tag. And so here I am, and I'm gonna get started with this. So here we go. All right, so the first item on the tag is Underdog of the Year. And so the underdog is the the David of David and Goliath, right? It's the one that you don't expect to be successful. It's the one that you weren't expecting to come through. So for me, I chose a book that I did not expect to like as much as I did. And for this one, I chose The Taken One by Jess Lowry. And the reason that I chose this one is because I gave it 4 stars. And so some of you were like, okay, Celeste, like, what's the deal here? And the deal here is that this is a police procedural. And I like a thriller, but I don't like a police procedural generally. For the most part, police procedurals tend to get real like formulaic, they get kind of dry, and sometimes they're real dude coded, if you know what I mean. Like, it's real easy for a police procedural to slide into like offensive tropes towards women or victims or So let me talk about this book. So it is a duo that it has like 2 timelines. So you have a cold case unit set within a current police station, and they're in Minnesota. I don't know what it is, but shout out to Minnesota, because books set in Minnesota I am just drawn to, or they do really well with me. But anyway, the 2 main characters that you follow like in the police procedural are Van Reed and Harry Steinbeck, and they themselves are very rich. They have a very interesting like backstory to each of them that pulls them in, connects them to their cases. And so this is the first in that, I want to say, series. So far there's only 3 books. And yes, I read all 3 books, because when I read this, I was not expecting to like this so much, because I'll be honest, I've read some of Jess Lowry's other like thriller, I say thriller, they're like cozy mysteries. This is not cozy. This is not cozy. So like, warning on that. It's like, there's lots of content warnings that you should look up. But I enjoyed it so much, and I ended up going through and reading all that was available for this, and I am looking forward to more. Like, I want more. I need Jess to get on these books, because, so anyway, that is the underdog of the year for me. All right, number 2 on the tag is most disappointing book of the year. So for me, the most disappointing book of the year is How to Say Babylon by Sophia Sincade. I was expecting to love this book based on some of the reviews that I had read. It is a memoir about a young woman who is dealing with her background. She comes from a Rastafarian family. The writing is gorgeous. She has a way of just really putting her thoughts together. However, I did not like, it's like you have all the ingredients to go into the soup. It did not come out like you would think it would be great. It did not come out as a 5-star read for me. So I was disappointed, because it was not a 5-star read for me, and I was expecting it to be there, and it just wasn't. So that's why it was disappointing to me. It was still good. It just wasn't the goodness, the greatness that I was anticipating. So that's why it was the most disappointing for me this year. Okay, so number 3 is a book that was overhyped. So I looked over my list of books that I have read in 2025, and the most overhyped for me was All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. It, I think, is her debut novel, and it was recommended to me by someone I know or knew, really. They're not in my life anymore, in real life. And I bought it in physical copy, and I was reading it, and I had problems with it. And it had a lot of, it had that recommendation. It was recommended to me by someone actually in my life. Also, there were all these reviews, because I believe she's a well-known, true crime podcaster. I didn't listen to that podcast, but I think there were expectations on that. It was blurbed well, I believe. And it was a Goodreads Choice Award winner, I believe, for the year that it came out. So those things were hype. And I read it, and I ended up giving it 2 stars. I found an error, a timeline error, a discrepancy. And that threw me out. And that was in within the first 50 pages. And then I did not like the true crime case that it was sort of based around. And then I think a lot of other reviewers share the sentiment that the ending was, it was not it. So I did not, that was overhyped for me. So, all right. So now we're ready for number 4. I feel like those last 2 were really downers. So number 4, favorite couple. My favorite book couple. So I am not usually one who focuses and I don't know, emphasizes the relationships or the couples, or really there's this whole thing about I have book boyfriends or book girlfriends or whatever. And I usually don't do that. So it took me a minute to go through and look over the book titles and think about the couples in there and who were memorable to me. But this one was not as hard as I thought, because when I looked over the titles, I immediately saw that the couple that best fit this for me were Hattie and Lucian from Portrait of a Scotsman, which is number 3, I believe, in that series. They're my favorite couple because Hattie and Lucian they are a grumpy sunshine couple. They are in a marriage of convenience. And then the tropes, oh my gosh, it deals with some of the best tropes that I love in the romance world. And I don't want to get too spoilery in it in case you're interested in it. I just really enjoyed that they were just, and their scenes were really hot. Their romance was really, and the learning between them. He sort of learned to calm down and let go and sort of trust and deal with his grief. And she learned that she needed to not think that she knew everything, because she didn't. Her perspective was not the only perspective, because he came from a different background and was now in her world. And she thought she knew about his background or his, that other world, and she did not. So anyway, they are my favorite book couple from 2025. For the next one, which is number 5, which is favorite main character. And there were so many great main characters, and I was really trying not to reuse main characters and reuse books, because I didn't want to keep talking about the same books over and over again. So I was making a concerted effort to not reuse any, because there are some other main characters that are neck and neck that I also really, really admired. My favorite main character for this would have to be Elissa from The Warbler by Sarah Beth Durst. So The Warbler, Elissa. So The Warbler, I got this on Kindle Unlimited, and I did not realize what I was getting into whenever I started reading it. It is amazing. So it's magical realism, and it's about this girl, Elissa, and I say girl, I think she's about like early 20s or late teens, early 20s, like 19, 20. And she is always on the move. So the idea is that her mother and her are cursed. She believes that they are cursed, and that if they believe that they are ever in their home, that they will become trees. Like they will grow roots and become actual trees with leaves and bark and like all of that. In fact, it talks about how like when she was a child, she would like make a slip of the tongue or whatever and refer to a place as like home, and she would get a spot on her skin and like it would be the beginning of bark or something. And in The Warbler, you get flashbacks to like what her childhood was like, but you also see like where she's at currently, and the conflict comes from she comes to a place that is also magical or cursed or gifted or what have you, and she can't leave. Well, if she can't leave, she could possibly grow roots. And I just really admired this main character because she was very smart, she was very resourceful, she was very like just very strong-willed, and I just really enjoyed her perspective. And the whole book, like, it's one of those that I really feel like I could go and reread it. Like I probably, and I had it on Kindle Unlimited, so if it's still available on Kindle Unlimited, I might borrow it again and reread it because I enjoyed the heck out of it. So, The Warbler, Elissa from The Warbler by Sarah Beth Durst. Now I am on number 6, which is a book that surprised you. And for this one, I chose Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. And I'm guessing that some of you were like, girl, why did you choose that one? Well, let me tell you, I have been feeling like maybe I'm moving away from my YA moods. Like, I don't think you ever outgrow a genre or type, but I just don't connect with the YA. I haven't been like I'm grouchier, I guess, when I read some of the YA books. So when I started Realm Breaker, I was not expecting to like it so much, and it surprised me. And so oh my gosh. So in all transparency, also, I came with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I read Red Queen, and then the next one, and I don't remember if I read the third one or not, but I enjoyed them, but they were not like the best thing I'd ever read. And so like I kind of wasn't expecting so much from Victoria Aveyard as an author. Like, sorry, that's not very kind, but it's the truth. And so it surprised me so much. But anyway, she has multiple viewpoints, and she has so many characters, and they're very dynamic, and they're just very authentic, and just so interesting. And the world building is just great. And there's so many like languages and cultures within this realm. And I was just like, wow, like I didn't know you had it in you. My flabbers were gasted. I was surprised. And so that's why I chose Realm Breaker. And like, yeah, I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I chose it, and it surprised the heck out of me. So the next one is new favorite author. So a new author that is a new favorite author for me is Kristen Ciccarelli, who wrote Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch. I got Heartless Hunter in my Book of the Month box a little while back. I couldn't even tell you which box it was, but I don't know, it was kind of a cover pick, honestly. Like, I saw that and I was like, what a really pretty cover. And so I picked it. And then I got around to reading it, and holy smokes, I enjoyed the heck out of it. Again, great world building, interesting premise, and it sucked me in. It's YA, but it was just, I don't know, like I really enjoyed the heck out of it. And so I read through it really quickly, and then when my next book of the month box, when the next set of books dropped, I immediately put Rebel Witch into my box and along with my monthly pick or whatever, and so that I could read that one up. And so I read both of those, and I am a fan. So when Kristen Ciccarelli publishes books, I will be paying attention, because I just really enjoyed the way that she crafted those characters, the way that she was, world building, the way that the themes and such that she put into her books. I'm interested. For number 8, it's happiest read of the year. And I didn't really know how to interpret that one, because I don't read happy things per se. So I interpreted it as like books that made me feel happy, I guess. And so for this one, I chose Heartstopper Volume 5 because it makes me happy to read Heartstopper. I look forward to whatever volume I have available to me, and it makes me happy to read it. It's just, there's a wholesomeness and a coziness to it. I mean, there are challenging themes, and it's hard growing up, but the art style and just the way that the characters interact, and yeah. So for number 9, it is most frustrating book of the year. So it's a little bit ranty. I'm sorry in advance. For me, the most frustrating book of the year was The Broken Places by Mia Sheridan. This one is a romantic suspense or a thriller, I guess. A mystery, I guess, is the way that they like blurb it or like put it on Goodreads, I guess. So the Broken Places is about an investigator, and she is looking for a killer, a serial killer at that. And the crime scenes are really disturbing because they're using some type of drug involved. But the people who are dying are people who are not the kind of people that, society is going to miss. It's usually like sex workers or people who have abused substances like hard drugs, or people who are in those realms, in those parts of society. There's also a podcast element. So in between some of the chapters, there's like this podcast where this podcaster is interviewing people who have been in deep traumatic situations. It's difficult to listen to, by the way. Lots of content warnings on this. I was so frustrated because the character of the main female character is like, she's a cop, but it's like she didn't want to be a cop, and she'd rather be like in the arts, and somehow she's in this situation, and the FBI agent just shows up, and like none of it makes sense, and it's not following things correctly, and it's like procedures, like again, police procedural stuff, and you're like, Celeste, you're reading a police procedural, but like, at least I know that they have to follow certain procedures. It was just absurd. It was absurd. I was so frustrated with it. Did I finish it? Yes. But like, I was just so disappointed and frustrated with the author in that work. So anyway, end rant. My next one is number 10, my longest book of the year. My longest book of the year was The Demon of Unrest by Eric Larson. This book was 592 pages. So honestly, not that long. I kind of wonder if maybe I read something longer and maybe it was an audiobook and the audiobook didn't clock all the pages, but whatever, we're just going to go with that. And this was about the beginning, the very beginning of the Civil War, and it was amazing. Like, he does a great job. So this was a nonfiction book. All right, number 11 is shortest book of the year. My shortest book of the year was Resting Scrooge Face by Megan Quinn. This book clocked in at just 80 pages. So like barely a novella, I would say. And this was just a little bit of a holiday kind of thing that I read just to, you know, have something festive in December. And for me, I am a Megan Quinn fan. Like, there's very few Megan Quinn books or novellas or what have you that I have read that I haven't really enjoyed. So, yeah. So, number 12 is favorite book covers, and there's an S on that. So, I picked my top two, and I feel like they're different, but I think they're both pretty in their ways. And so, I feel like it shows, like, maybe different ways in which I find things attractive, because you can find different things pretty. The first one that I wanted to show is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This specific cover, because I really like, it's not actually textured, but I really like the look of it, and then the floral aspect of it. I just really, in the colors. And then the second one that I wanted to show for the S part covers is Heartless Hunter. I mentioned that I thought this cover was really attractive. It was a cover by, because I just really like that whole crimson moth look and the coloring. Again, it's simple, but it's effective. Like, it got me, it pulled me in. And so that was, there you go. Okay, number 13 is unpopular book that you loved. So an unpopular book that I loved, I don't want to say that my tastes are mainstream, but I kind of felt like I had a hard time picking this one. So I don't know. I guess I'll explain this and maybe it'll make it make sense. I don't know. But the book that I chose for this one for 2025 is Margot's Got Money Troubles by Ruthie Thorpe. I got this one in my book of the month. And I let it sit on my shelf for a while. And then when I finally read it, oh my God, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. To me, it was witty and it weaved in so many things that were like, they didn't seem like they went together, but they did for me. And again, I love the wrestling. Like, it uses wrestling, and I loved it. And so I loved it. And so, if you look though at like the Goodreads rating, it has a 3.83 overall star rating. So me giving it a 5-star rating is like, hey, I really like this less popular book. Like, I gave it a way higher rating than that. And when I looked at like sort of the breakdown of the ratings, only 23% of people gave it a 5-star rating. So I think that's me. Like an unpopular book that I loved. I loved it, and it's not as popular. Does that make it, is it unpopular enough for that? Does it count? I'm going to say it counts. It counts. I loved it. So, So now we are on number 14, which is favorite reread. And this one was easy because I only reread one book this year, this past, 2025. So the book that I reread was Age of War by Michael J. Sullivan, which is book number 3 in the Legends of the First Empire. Yes, Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. And I reread this because my husband was reading the physical copy and I had the Audible copy in my Audible, and we were on a road trip and I was like, it's quiet in this car while you read, because he can read in a car. And I was like, so why don't we just listen to the audiobook? And that way I have something to listen to while I drive on this long car trip, and you can also read along with it or whatever, and I won't be bored to tears. And so we did, and he realized that he liked the audiobook version better than just reading it, because their names are a little bit weird in places, and also like the narrator is amazing, by the way. The narrator is amazing on that book series. So yeah, that was the reread, because I read it a couple of years ago, and he's still working through it. So I think we're going to actually buddy read that together. And so it'll be a reread for the next like 2 books, because I think I'm on the last book. Okay, so number 15 is just my reading goal reflection for 2025 and my 2026 reading goals. So for 2025, I didn't really have a goal, except I always set my goal on Goodreads at like 100. And I have surpassed that. Last time I checked, I was at 119. So I think that's going to be the official number. I don't know. There's one book that I'm working on. If I finish it before midnight, cool. If I don't, that's cool too. Whatevs. But I'm over 100. So it's cool. For 2026, what I'm leaning towards is less about quantity and more about quality, because yeah, it's great that I read so many books, but how many of them were like 5-star reads? How many of them, like when I was working on the book tag, like how many of them were books that I remembered, like really remembered, you know, without like having to like really think about, like how many were books that I would recommend? Like if I were doing a recommendation video, how many would I really want to recommend to people? And so I think for 2026, I want to prioritize quality. So I might be reading fewer books in 2026, and that's okay. That's okay. But I might not be reading fewer books because I have a long commute. And so audiobooks are going to still be a big part of my reading journey. And so I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it, but I think I'm going to be a little more discerning about the books that I am choosing. So I think I'm going to try not to choose as much fluffy, weird garbage on Kindle Unlimited, because I have a habit of choosing books on Kindle Unlimited that are probably not of the highest quality. Okay, and number 16 is like prioritizing in 2026, which I kind of got into that already, but I'm actually going to film a video where I talk about my priority books of 2026. I've actually picked out 12. So that works out to 1 book a month for 2026 of books I'm pulling off of my shelves, and I'm prioritizing those to get read in 2026. Like I'll read others, of course, but I really, really, really want to get those read in the year 2026. Like hold myself to it, put it on video, put it on the channel, make it work. And so yeah, there's that. And also, like I kind of mentioned before, I just want to be kind to myself, quit holding myself to like standards, and just, yeah, like that's basically that in a nutshell. 2025 was kind of a hard year. So like, let's make 2026 the best year we can. Like it doesn't need to be tough. It doesn't need to be a hard year. So. All right, y'all. So that is my end of year book tag for 2025. And I'm so glad that you were here for this. If you stuck around, leave me an emoji, leave me a heart. Any color heart that makes you happy, just a heart, because we're all about like being kind and loving. But yeah, if you do this book tag, leave a comment down below. Let me know so I can go to your channel and watch it. I would love to see what you had to say about your books, because I do go and watch other channels so I can see like what books people are talking about, because that's how I find out about books, honestly, is watching other people's videos. Yeah. because I learn a lot. I learn a lot by what other people are saying. So anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please consider giving me a like and a subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.